Hello, welcome to the Vulgar Eclectic. This is Frank. Changed the setup here a little bit. I'm hoping it works a little bit better than some of my previous videos, but we'll see. I wanted to show a few comic books I've acquired recently. We'll start with a couple of Billy the Kid from Charlton Comics. I have probably about 20 or so of these, including a couple that are coverless. I read them first, or I got some coverless ones a long time ago. I don't think I even have those anymore. My parents got rid of most of those, so I was familiar with them from being a little kid and reading those. But I've enjoyed them over the last several years. I don't get them very often, just when I find a good deal. Just to give a little background, I guess, on the comics, like I mentioned, they were published by Charlton Comics, and the title Billy the Kid didn't pick up. I think it was. Well, he didn't make an appearance. He wasn't the main character in the stories in the comic until number 6. It was originally called Masked Raider. The Masked Raider. It was a Western comic, but it wasn't Billy the Kid. And Billy the Kid shows up in issue number 6, which was titled Masked Raider. I think it was, I gotta look this up. Masked Raider presents Billy the Kid with issue number 6. And that title lasted for just 3 issues. At which point it changed to what we see here, Billy the Kid, as the title. And then it lasted, well, it began, the Western, the Masked Raider, sorry, it started back in 1955. And then Billy the Kid, being published as straight up Billy the Kid with issue number 9, that started in 1957. And the comic ran all the way till 1983, although some of the later ones were reprint titles. But that was really just the much later ones. What else to say about it? Of course, it features the historical character Billy the Kid, but with very little reference to history, I'd say. They're just Old West stories, Western comic stories. They're a lot of fun. They feature backup stories. There's usually a single text story included. This one has one about Doc Holliday, actually. Wrecked to Revenge. Starts off, his full name was John Henry Holliday, but as long as there are stories and legends alive of the Old West, he will just be remembered as Doc Holliday. So yeah, fun written stories, text stories, and then here's the second. So here, let me show you the first. This is issue number 86. I better start with that, I guess. Issue number 86, which is the first 20-cent issue. Before that, it was 15 cents, of course. And then the older ones were even cheaper. So this one, number 86, came out in 1971. It's got a Jose Delbo cover. He did a lot of these. Same with the main story is Jose Delbo. The Good Samaritan. That's the first story. And then, like I was showing here, this is the last story in the issue. The Gunslinger from Boston, another Billy the Kid one. But in between, we've got a story about Cochise with some really neat art. I don't know who's the artist or writer on this one. Apache Indian native. And then we have a story called The Guns. This one does not feature Billy the Kid either. So it's got a couple of backup stories, but a couple of backup comic stories. This one text story, and then 2 main Billy the Kid stories. I like this last page on here too. Let me show you. What you see is what you get. Cheyenne Kid, Billy the Kid, Charlton Comics. I guess that's coming up in Smoke Signal or something. Yeah, so that's number 86, and then, which I actually already had, so this is a double for me, but that's all right. That happens. And then we've got issue 133. This one is far along into I think, let's see, there's 153 total. So this is, 133? Yeah, getting toward the end of the run, and this one does have a reprint in it. That's a John Severin cover. This one came out in December 79. 1979, and let's see, we're up to 40 cents at this point. Still sounds pretty good to me. And John Severin cover, that's great. And this time, they actually give credits, which is nice. In the older ones, they don't typically do that, but we've got, we've got Didn't even know that. Got a staple separation there from the cover. Okay, we've got George Wildman is the editor. Joe Gill does the story and dialogue. The layout and art is Warren Statler. Good stuff. I like his art. Yeah, we've got main story here, 3 for the money. And then we've got Apache Red as a backup story. The Invaders. Apache Red, The Invaders. Let's see who's the artist on this. I don't know, but I like it. Oh, it's Fred Himes. Yeah, I like his stuff. He's great. Valley of the Dinosaurs is the first comic I ever know about reading that was done by him. Yeah, he's great. Turkey Shoot, a text story. This one about Billy the Kid. Oh, it goes a couple pages even. Yeah. And I think that the initial story, the 3 for the money, was a reprint from 76. I'm not positive, but I think the backup may be original to this issue. I'm not entirely sure, though. Be interesting to find that out. Anything else to mention about these? Well, just that they're a lot of fun. There was a run of them, oh boy, if I can remember correctly off the top of my head, I think it was in the early 100s, that feature some really cool painted covers. I have a few of those. They're really they're not dark exactly, but they're moody and atmospheric. I enjoy those covers. All right, and then we'll move on to the next comics. All right, for the next comics, I picked up some Black Fury. This is a comic, also by Charlton Comics, that I had never read before. Well, actually, I had started reading some digital copies online. Another Old West comic. This one centered, though, on a horse. But still, tells classics, Western stories. Both about horses, Black Fury and others. But also about the humans that come in contact with Black Fury. Black Fury ran for 57 issues. Began back in 1956. This issue is number 21, 10-cent cover. We've got a cover art by Ernie Hart. I really like that cover. Yeah, that's some great art. Stories and art inside are by Ernie Hart and others. I'm not sure who all the others are, but we got Flames of the Wild, The Black Devil, The Warrior, The Frame Up, The Hunted, and Paid in Full, which is the one that's advertised or alluded to here on the cover. I've read this one. It's quite good. Just some nice, simple storytelling. No, this one was good. Black Fury comes to the rescue of this native man, I don't remember his name, who is being attacked by a grizzly. And the man who befriends Black Fury ends up being a just and honorable person. And there's a nice moral there to the story about letting an animal like Black Fury be wild. We've got a written down, a textual story here, Frame Up. And here's the one from the cover, Paid in Full. Classic shooting a gun out of somebody's hand. Gotta love that. So that was issue number 21. And we've got issue number 40 with a cover art by Dick Giordano. That's really nice. And then we've got some stories and art inside by Rocco Mastrosiero. I'm not quite sure how to pronounce that. And Bill Molno. It's got a lot of stories just like the previous one. An Enemy Dies, War Horse, Break or Die, The Plains Warriors, Cowboys Equipment, and Nightmare. I won't go through it page by page, but we're at 12 cents now. And then with number 43, another cover by Dick Giordano. Another 12-cent issue. I like that cover, huh? Pretty nice. Pretty cool. And it's the same creative team with the addition of Sam Glanzman. We've got Drought, A Way to Freedom, Indian Customs, Call of the Blood, and Horse Sense. I think the Indian Customs is a text piece in here. Let me look. Yeah. We got a 2-page piece here. I like that a lot in these old ones. That one's in pretty decent shape. So I really, really enjoy these. There's something about them that make me feel like being a kid. I like they're like old radio stories in a way. Simple stories, but good storytelling. Okay, then we've got a couple of Brothers of the Spear. This was a comic that started in 1972 and was published by Gold Key. It began as a backup feature in Tarzan, and then ended up getting its own fairly short run series. It lasted for 18 issues. They had these beautiful painted covers. This one was done by George Wilson. I've mentioned this in another video, but I first came across this comic as a young child. I picked up one or two at a flea market where I grew up. Really liked it. Back then, I had just a handful of comics that I'd read and just keep rereading and loved the heck out of them. And then as I've gotten older, I've been trying to get all of these. I'm still missing 5 or 6, I think. This has interior art by Jesse Santos, who you might recognize from Trog or Trag. I don't know. I say Trog. Trag. I don't know. Either way. A kind of sword and sorcery type. Almost more, prehistoric human sword and sorcery title from Gold Key. He has pretty distinctive art style. The story is by Gaylord Dubois. Sorry, I'm pretty sure it's Dubois. Gaylord Dubois, who wrote a lot of this stuff. He was pretty prolific back at this period in time. When Mountains Melt. This one was published in June 1974. These stories feature Dan L. and Natongo. And they are, I guess, brothers who are kings. And they're just their adventures together. I would like it if there were letters pages. That's the only thing. But that's a minor complaint. Very much enjoy these Brothers of the Spear ones. And we have one more Brothers of the Spear, number 13 from April 75. Script is also by Gaylord Du Bois, but the art in this one is by Dan Spiegel. Tree of Mystery. This one came out, published in April 75. It's now at 25 cents. That previous one, issue number 9, was actually the last 20-cent cover. Pretty nice art. Okay, and that's a couple Brothers of the Spear. Next, we have... let me grab them. Oh, okay, a couple of... This isn't a series that I actually actively collect or anything, but I somehow accumulated a few of them over the years. These two came as Christmas gifts from somebody in my family a couple of years ago, but I just now brought them home. There's Rip Van Winkle, Classics Illustrated, number 12, and Julius Caesar, number 68. Again, not something that I actively collect, but I do like the covers, and perhaps I'll read them. I've read the play Julius Caesar, it's fantastic, and I've read the story by Washington Irving, the short story Rip Van Winkle. Like them both. Two I'll probably do with this particular one before. I have a lot of other... Ooh, there should be 3. I think 3 more, yeah. I guess I was just reading one of them. I'll have to go grab that out of the bedroom. Well, we'll start with this one. Let me open it up here. This kind of goes with the other ones because it's another gold key. And that's the Mighty Samson. And Mighty Samson ran for 31 issues. Beginning in 1964. This particular one is issue number 6 from 1966 with an absolutely beautiful painted cover. And then check this out. I really like this part. Look at that. The same painting, but with just the only text on it is just this little, up there, this little writing, Mighty Samson pinup. But look at that. It's so beautiful. And another interesting thing, check this out. Let me open it up here. So right off the bat, we've got a little thing about satellites, which plays a role in the story. Well, as you can tell, the title, The Sinister Satellites. There is no art credit or writing credit. Pretty great stuff, but what I wanted to show is, check this out. There's not a single ad anywhere in the book. It's all comic. Just amazing. Nice full page spread there. Even right to the very last back cover page, where we have a little thing about space stations. Now that's the way you do a comic book. I just really like that. Comics like this, some of the old Korak, Son of Tarzan, I remember the early issues. It didn't last for too long. Had a wraparound cover like this where they reprinted the painted image from the cover without all the other information. Make me want to get some of those see-through boards. I've never used those before. The transparent, I don't know what they're made out of, some kind of plastic backing boards. so that you can see both sides of it. I think that would be neat to do. All right, so that's the Mighty Samson. And then we have just 2 more here to show for right now. Let me grab those. Okay, this next one is totally new to me. In fact, just last night I was reading this issue of it. First one I had read, and I really like it. It's titled Indian Chief, featuring White Eagle by Dell Comics, and it has an interesting publication history. I've been researching it a little bit, trying to figure it out, because this, I have to cough, pardon me. I've got a bit of a cold. This Indian Chief title, the earliest one numerically is number 3, so I was trying to figure out what the heck happened with number 1 and number 2, and this is what I think is going on. Dell Comics had a comic series called 4-Color. It ran for hundreds of issues, and issue number 290 was called The Chief, and features very similar artwork and stories. And that was, I didn't look that up, what year that was. I think it was, off the top of my head, I think it was 1950. I will add a note if that's incorrect. And then in, let's see, number 2, there was a comic that Dell published called Chief, or The Chief, and that just ran for 1 issue, which was issue number 2. And then in 1951, we got this title, without the featuring White Eagle on the cover, just Indian Chief in 1951. And this ended up running until 1959. It ran all the way up to number 30, issue number 33, but again, really only starting with issue number 3 with this title. White Eagle, who becomes the main reoccurring character, he isn't introduced until issue number 12, and at which point the cover starts having this featuring White Eagle. And this particular issue is issue number 21. It's from March 1956. I really enjoyed reading it. It's got all kinds of cool stuff. There's a little bit of historical information here on the so-called 5 civilized tribes. It's a bit of a background on the Cherokee and the Choctaw, Creek, Chickasaw, and Seminole nations. Pardon me. Yeah, 1956. Okay, and then it's got the main story here. One of the main stories, White Eagle, invaders from the north, and it's this story about, well, they call them Eskimos in the story, but some northerly Arctic or subarctic tribe, some sort of Inuit tribe perhaps, that have come south because of climate reasons or weather reasons that have lessened the availability of game in their homeland. So they have come south looking for food. I think this is not very historically accurate or anything like that, but of course one should go into these sorts of comics knowing that, I think. But it was just a fun story, really fun story. White Eagle's a great character. I like the art a lot. Oh, I guess the art is by John Daly, or Daly, I guess probably is how you say it. Who I'm not familiar with. Maybe somebody else is here. If you know anything about this artist, leave it in the comments. I'd be curious to learn more. And then we have a little story here, little Big Talker's Mistake. And now it says it's by someone named Red Thundercloud, who is supposedly of the Catawba Nation. And I don't know if this is legitimate or if this was a fictional creation of Dell Comics, but if it really was written by a native person, that would be really cool way back in the 50s. I have to research that and see if that's real or not. I don't know. And then we got more art by John Daly, Red Wing, son of the chief. And I believe Red Wing is a bit of a reoccurring character. He's in the other one I've got too. Then we have a little bit of an advertisement for another Dell comic, Sergeant Preston of the Yukon. I've never read that, but it reminds me of, what is that? Oh, that old radio drama. I can't think of it off the top of my head right now, but about a Mountie up in the Yukon. They're fun. Then we have another anthropological sort of article here on the back, the inside back cover, Iroquois false face masks, which I love. These educational little articles that are included in a lot of these older comics. It's just wonderful stuff. And then again, on the back, another historical bit, a very short bio of Chief Tecumseh with some beautiful beadwork stuff on the side here on the margins. Just a really well-made comic, in my opinion. Again, you'll notice the lack of advertisements and just lots of storytelling. So that's number 21. And then the other one I have is number 25, which I haven't yet read any of. Another nice, beautiful painted cover, though. Looks like John Daly art to me again. I'm not that familiar with him, but it sure looks like it. Again, I want to learn more about him. And more historical, cultural sort of information. The back has an advertisement for Monsanto. Oh, wow. Wait a minute. Huh. Monsanto polyethylene and Opalon vinyl. I take it that's not the Monsanto that we know of today with in agriculture. Anyway, I haven't read this one yet, or any of it. I haven't finished reading the first one. I read the main story. So, very excited about these, and I would like to continue collecting these. I want to start looking for that, the 4-color issue that I think starts this series. And just really enjoy these. These are kind of comics that really make me feel like a kid, and they're just a lot of fun to read. Alrighty, I think I'm going to wrap it up with that. I have a lot of other comics I've gotten recently, but these at least sort of feel like they go together in a way. And besides, I got to cut this off. This is a heck of a long video. Speaking of which, I don't really know what I'm doing with these. I'm very bad at talking to a camera or in a microphone. Microphone's not very good either. But it's a lot of fun to go into these comics. Maybe that's too much detail for viewers. I don't know what people even enjoy listening to, but I'll just keep at it and see if anybody else likes it. I tend to have maybe what feels like sometimes to me a weird, unusual taste in comics. I don't see a lot of it around, and I don't know others in my own life to talk to about these kinds of comics. So, maybe I'll find some folks here that do. I know they exist, obviously. I know there's lots of people that like these kinds of comics, but I just don't know them. And it's not, I like lots of different kinds of comics, but that'll be part of the potential fun, I think, with something like this channel, is to just kind of cultivate I don't know, maybe if nothing else, some casual acquaintances that enjoy discussing comics. Especially maybe older comics that there's so many podcasts and things like that devoted to new contemporary comics and the market and what's coming out next and things like that. And I would like to take part in all of that, but those just don't interest me that much. So anyway, I hope to find other like-minded folks, or not necessarily like-minded, but just that, I don't know, just people to talk with or have dialogue about these kinds of comics. And I'll probably find other channels too that I enjoy watching myself and listening to. All right, thanks for your patience, and I hope you have a good day. Bye-bye.